except there's a big water in between. And it's been a real pleasure getting to know him on Zoom. This is the first time I met him in person. This is just like, kind of blows my mind. It shows, where virtual communications and meetings lead to actually face-to-face, and then you can go off into your wilderness and still be in contact, because thanks to GCI, we can go anywhere now. It's like, wow. Man, it's crazy. Well, I just want to mention that Bryan is the Assistant State Director for Small Business Development, and I had to go to the website. Thank you, Internet. He received the State Star Award in 2012, which means that's the highest honor for the state of Alaska. Am I correct?
For the SBDC, yes.
There you go. I mean, wow, we have a star. So I just want to mention the SBDC helps small businesses grow throughout Alaska via its expanding online resources and business management expertise, quote unquote. Also, the growing season is every day for SBDC clients, regardless of the region, the season, or the weather. And should also, you got to update it and say, also during earth movements like earthquakes, you're handling clients, right? I give you Bryan.
Thank you, Bryan. Well, it's a pleasure to be here at the Pacific Northwest Technologists Conference. And really, I was asked to come to this conference, and you wouldn't think that Bryan Zak from Homer, Alaska would be here at this conference, doing small business development. But I also carry a distinction as a Pacific Excellence Northwest Examiner, and I've been involved in Baldrige or Excellence since about 1984 when I started with the Air Force at the Air Force Quality Institute. And so today I'm going to share with you a little bit of information about the Baldrige Criteria and the framework that is the Baldrige Criteria. And there'll be another slide a little bit later that's going to break down that criteria that you see on the right. But this is a systems perspective, and yesterday, when Chris kicked off our conference as the keynote speaker, he shared his cubicle, and now we see the cubicles gone. But when I look out, and when I work with small businesses every day, and they have their businesses, what I do at the SBDC is empower those business owners to be able to reach, like Bryan just shared. We're not just reaching across from Kodiak to Homer, and really that Oceans Tuesdays that Joel mentioned yesterday reaches around the world sharing technologies. We've now got this capacity, capability, technology to share everything that we're doing worldwide, easily. And so we heard GCI talk about the bit chain, and they've used that effectively, or the banks have used that effectively. Well, I think soon in the future we'll see all of you be able to bit chain your information together in fisheries technology. No longer will it just be Pacific fisheries, but we got to think globally, because we are, here at the SBDC, one of our key focuses is import and export. And so we've got trained business advisors. Myself, I'm a certified import-export accredited professional, and I help business owners figure out all those Incoterms and everything else, connect with our government's resources that will actually help you. There's a lot of resources to help you become better exporters to more countries. So a lot of things that we do at the SBDC, you may not think, like the financial models and things, but this is one of the examples which brought me to you, is to share in specific the framework that is the Baldrige. And so just a minute ago, Lori talked about root cause, and so Section 7 of the criteria is where you'll do your analysis and trends. There is no wrong door for taking your first step in the journey to excellence. Or it's not just excellence, it's really to make your organizations, like Chris's analogy of taking down your cubicle. I like to think about it with my Air Force background. Now, the Baldrige Criteria gave me oxygen, because when I'm out there, I'm not in my cubicle. I'm like flying 10,000 feet, building networks, and I need oxygen above 10,000 feet. And I'll share something with you at the very end here as to where I figured that out. Criteria for performance, here's you see this lower dark blue, core concepts and values. That's really what the foundation of every organization has its core principles, foundations. So the Baldrige Criteria has the same, and it's built on those foundations. And then you have the triad on the left of 3, and those are your leadership triad, and on the right is the process triad. But there's 7 categories, and the first 6 are all process related, and the 7th one is results oriented. And so if you ever, and I did mention, the SBDC offers free confidential one-on-one advising, so you can call us or register, and you could ask us, okay, tell me more about the criteria involved with the Baldrige, and I can pick up the phone or connect with you via Zoom and share more information with your organization, or we can have, for small fees, a trainer come out to your organization. But we're here, we're federally funded, state supported, Kenai Peninsula Borough kicks in a little bit, and so we're here providing services to business owners on a daily basis, and it doesn't end at 5 o'clock. If a business owner is working, we're able to connect at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whatever time we need to help that business owner. But the Baldrige Criteria specifically will help you with establishing standards of excellence, identifying roles. It provides a systematic approach to your organization and thinking, and creates a culture is the main thing. And that's why when I started with the Air Force back in 1984, we were inculcating the Baldrige Criteria into the Air Force culture so that the generals were empowering everybody in the Air Force to be able to make change at the grassroots level. And so it's really that grassroots effort that you want to empower, but it starts with the leadership understanding and agreeing that this is something that they want to undertake. And category 1.1 of the Baldrige would tell you that, okay, not only is it important for leaders to share the mission and the core values with the organization, but they also need to have ethical standards. And so one of the things that leaders get measured upon is their ethical responsibility and how well they communicate that throughout the workforce. And here's just something about one of our national leaders expressing that Baldrige Criteria is a single document that can help build a long-term successful organization. We've seen it work really well into the different sectors that Baldrige creates the criteria for. Healthcare, you see like at the national level, the majority of applicants are healthcare related organizations. And why is that? Because their accreditation standards require them to, perhaps like in Washington State, apply for at the state level the Baldrige Award. So Fisheries is not driven, or manufacturing is not driven by accreditation requirements. However, if a leader within your organization feels like you could drive a culture, this is a systematic approach, well-defined, easy to implement, and free to come to the SBDC for some assistance to help plug your organization into. There's the framework again, and really it was created in 1987 to make American companies more competitive, because Dr. Deming went to Japan, helped them after the war, helped them improve their processes, and we felt like something in America, we needed something to make America more competitive again. So Pacific Excellence Northwest, it's a state level award. You have to apply at the state level before you can go on to the national level any longer. So it's been in Washington, Oregon, and Alaska for over 20 years. So at the end of the slide, and I'm going to share this slide deck with you so that, if you want to, or you can either contact me or the information on the back of the slide if you're ever interested in learning more about these award levels. These are the different award levels that you can obtain in applying for the Pacific Excellence Northwest. I serve on a team right now. We're doing an evaluation, and the team is made up of members from the East Coast to the West Coast. So we meet regularly every other week, and we talk about the application. We score it in BOSS. If you achieve the level of a site visit, then you'll receive one of these excellence awards. But a lot of time and effort goes into, so just applying, not only do you get the feedback through the accreditation or through the application that you submit, you'll get feedback that will help the organization create a culture of excellence. So the framework can do this for you, jumpstart your organization. It's a real inexpensive way to really make a change in your organization if you're having a hard time implementing change. Like Lori mentioned, if you're still at the level of putting signs on the bathroom doors, perhaps this is a way you can empower at the grassroots level. It's a systems perspective. It focuses on improvement. We've heard so many presentations in the last 2 days talk about why we want to take a systematic approach to improvement and document what we're doing. And Brian, when you're doing your evaluations and writing your papers, in results, you're looking for levels, trends, comparisons, and then, let's see, the trends primarily is where I was going, but also benchmarks. So when you do your application, what's the benchmark? Where should we be performing? What's that world-class achievement level? And I can help you also at the SBDC determine what those are, because we have different tools. If you're ever thinking about looking for benchmarks, one organization that I know really well that does that is the American Productivity and Quality Center down in Houston, Texas. And they actually have a program that does knowledge mapping now, too. So it shares blinded data if you need to blind data. But if you want to compare yourself to other organizations, that's an excellent resource. I mentioned that it's got the systems perspective, managing all parts of your organization. The evaluating of the processes, those are the 6 categories: leadership, strategic planning, customer focus, workforce, organization. Those are all the process items. And then the results are evaluated differently with levels, evaluation, trends, and comparisons. But in an evaluating process, you look at approach. Do they have a systematic approach? Is it deployed across the organization? Are they learning, making improvements? And is it integrated throughout the organization? So that's the levels of scoring. And I'll show you a little example later of that scoring matrix. But there's your leadership, strategy, strategic planning, action planning. And the items are broken down so that you'll kind of is a roadmap for success for an organization. Customer focus, measurement, workforce focus, operations, and then results, the levels, evaluation, trends, and comparisons. And the cool thing about applying for the Baldrige, and I would be so excited to see more manufacturing and/or especially fisheries applicants do this, because right now at the national level, all the hubbub is about all they're doing with healthcare. But in reality, when you think about economies and a difference, here in Alaska, here on the whole Pacific coast, around the world, 3/4 of the world is water, and we have global warming and other things affecting all of these fisheries all at once, and hopefully blockchain of information will help us to comprehend and understand what's really happening. But we need organizations like yourselves to take enough passion for what you're doing to start with a systematic framework like the Baldrige. And you can do that, starting with the Pacific Excellence Northwest application, to where real soon in the future you'll be able to, take that desk, take down the walls of your cubicle, and be, sharing globally ways to improve things that you've shared here at this conference today. And then results, section 7, gets into your, tracking those results, making that improvement, and repeating that process. And then earlier Lori asked about, the root cause analysis. So picking a couple of key factors where you're going to make a change. Go back to that Pareto principle type thinking, where 80% of the problems are caused by 20% of the things causing things. So if you can focus on that key element and make the change there, it make a huge difference to your organizations. And the values, guiding principles, that's back to the core concepts. At NIST.gov, you'll be able to access so many wonderful papers and things about ways that processes have been improved. And again, we at the SBDC, if you think about one thing I feel like we're missing here from a business perspective is what are we doing to improve your brands, your social networking that you're doing within your companies. You do Copper River Seafood, I won a sweatshirt earlier, and when I use examples of a way that businesses have improved their brand over time, I use that example of Copper River Seafood. And if you think about their story and why they did that and how they were able to change their brand globally, you know, all of us can be making significant differences, getting more value for the company doing things like that. Here's the core values and principles, ethics and transparency down there toward the bottom. That's one thing, because I'm also the mayor of Homer, Alaska. I know that what we do at the local level is certainly driven primarily by being ethical, but also transparent in everything that we do. And our clerks do a really good job of that here in Alaska to keep us, you know, doing the right thing that way. Alaska Municipal League will be meeting down in Juneau here in a couple of weeks, so I'll have an opportunity to get down there with the rest of the mayors. And believe me, I'll be putting in a good word for all of the fisheries, technology-driven businesses that I know are here in Alaska, because you're making a huge difference to our economy, and it's a sustainable, you know, difference for the future. So it's not just short-term, but it's so interesting to see that there's research being conducted to make sure, you know, that it is sustained over a long period of time. So the scoring system, I hit on that earlier. Steps to implementation, of course, process results, take action and improve. Here's that scoring matrix. If you're in the reactive, early, you know, everything's just kind of chaotic, start to pull it together in your early stages of development. Mature systems are aligned, and then role model. You're comparing yourselves to other organizations. You might have learned something from our guests from Mexico about, you know, some research that they're doing. You know, we know each one of us might be that catalyst that helps spread that information. When we run into somebody next week and say, oh, I know a company down in Sonora, Mexico, that's doing research on that subject, and I'd love to share it with you. But you go from fighting fires, you know, reacting to the problem, and then finally, you know, solving the solutions with a systematic approach. So you can start, yourselves could learn to be an examiner. There's training that goes along. So if you're interested in that, or just get started in your organization doing a self-assessment, there's two tools. One's called, Are We Making Progress as Leaders? And that's a really excellent one to start with, just to do a baseline measurement of your organization. You get to kind of comprehend what might we be doing as a culture to make a difference within our organization. To contact the Baldrige Award recipient, contact the Pacific Excellent Northwest, and then background, award levels, full and light assessments, resources, they're all available. And of course, you got me at the SBDC, and I'm looking back, and I think it's Lynn who talked about cold chain, and like last week I was talking to peony growers here in Alaska, and they needed somebody, they needed a way to comprehend and understand the cold chain process. So last night I made sure I went ahead and followed up and sent the email to the peonies growers and said, okay, we found it. And then today we saw the blue wrap, and I'm already thinking, hey, would that work for peonies to extend the life, you know, because for some reason nobody could figure it out. Holland peony growers were able to ship their product worldwide, and they've got some kind of edge, and maybe it's, you know, blue wrap or something. Maybe we'll even get a better edge for peony growers. But it's all of us figuring out what is the best thing, and coming to conferences like this, learn things and share them with others that take us to that high level of achievement. And here's some references and resources. And I threw this up there. That's me. And that's me and Chuck Yeager back when I flew the B-1s and B-52s in the Air Force. And I was helping out at Edwards Air Force Base, and I saw Chuck, and I said, in fact, it was probably a pretty rough night the night before, but going on 100% oxygen when you're heading back to your home base helps out. But, you know, you mentioned 100% oxygen. You know, all of us with this tool, the Baldrige framework, which has been following me around since my Air Force days, has given me the opportunity to reach across industry and segments and businesses and to be able to share. So thank you for this opportunity.